What's up, everybody? Welcome to the 1.7 release video for my app Second Thought. Second Thought is a voice-driven thinking tool that helps me turn my thoughts into words, smooth out my ideas, and helps me revisit them when I need clarity. So not too much has changed since my last video. This week we did a lot of design changes and UI UX improvements. Again, my main focus right now is polishing, making sure the user flows feel really natural and intuitive, and just make it as easy as possible to leverage UI in my daily work streams. I'll start by going over one or two notable design changes, and then I'll go over the new feature that's coming up in this release. The first thing that I want to point out design-wise is for bursts and prompts, I've changed the design of the rows so that they now also show the human-readable description. Before it was just the title of the burst or the prompt, and it made it really difficult to kind of understand intuitively what it is that I'm going to get out of it. So adding the little bit of the description so that at a glance I have a better idea of what I'm operating on has just made it a little bit easier for me to get again to the workflow that I want as fast as possible. The second design change has to do with just a better visualization of what the prompt looks like when it gets submitted to AI. So now when you go to prompts and select a prompt, on this kind of prompt spotlight page, you're going to see the system prompt or what's actually getting submitted to the LLM. There's three major parts to prompt engineering. The first is the context or the AI role. It tells the AI the world that it's operating in. AI is trained on the entirety of the internet, and you don't necessarily need all of that context when it's answering a question. So being able to kind of put boundaries around the things that it needs to think about is step one. Step two is the scope, or essentially telling the AI, you live in this world, this is what I want you to do in that world. So specifically, this is the part where it's you're giving the AI instructions on what it's going to do with either your journal entries or your burst intention. And the third section are prompt examples, which is actually the new feature of this release. So prompt examples, what are those? Prompt examples are a huge part of how you get LLMs to give you reliable, high-quality outputs. The three major parts of prompt engineering are context, or telling the LLM what the world and the boundaries of that world that they're going to operate in. The scope, which is here are the exact instructions of what I want you to do in this world. And then the examples where you're showing the LLM, if I were to give you this input, this is the output that I would want. And the more high quality examples that you're able to provide the LLM, it's going to give you more reliable, high quality results. We can use the emoji translation service that we created last time. We're going to look at the prompt and then go to examples. There's two ways to create prompt examples. The first way is you can do it manually. So I found that when I first create a burst or first start creating a prompt, I will try it out and see how it goes. I usually have to edit it a little bit on my computer or run it through another LLM like ChatGPT or Claude to kind of just fine tune it. And then what I do is I'll copy and paste that on my original input and then that response, and then you save it. So for example, today I went grocery shopping and bought an apple. And then I would imagine, I don't know, let's just put a bunch of random stuff and see what happens. So then you create it, and that's kind of your example. Or you can edit or also delete an example. Again, we don't necessarily want to have a bunch of bad examples because then you're going to confuse the LLM. The second way to save an example is actually by using bursts. So let's say for this emoji translation service, today I went grocery shopping with my wife and we got a bunch of vegetables. We got salad and potatoes, and we also got some fruit like bananas and apples. So I'm going to run the burst and then I'm going to see, oh, okay, this is actually a really good result. I can immediately just save it. So then the next time I go to that prompt, it's already saved. That's what's new in 1.7, what's coming up in the future and where I am in the process. Again, right now it's mostly polish mode. I'm trying to find as much friction as possible when I'm using the app so I can smooth that out. Because I want the app to be just really easy to use. The whole purpose behind second thought, when I'm really thinking about it, is when I use LLMs, I ask it the same thing almost every day. Like an example is, hey, can you rewrite like this text message for me? I want it to keep my voice. I want it to have good grammar. I want it to be succinct. I want an app that helps me reduce the amount of like repeat work and admin work that I have to do every time. That's it for the release video and kind of my update this week. I keep saying that I'm done building features, but we'll see what happens with the next release. But thanks for following along and for your support and being beta users. And I'll see you in the next video.